Hello everybody, my name is Zoe Vivian Rose and today we're recreating my blue cosmic look is the best way I can describe it. Due to a broken microphone, we are having to do this as a voiceover this week. I promise as of next week it will be more of an upfront review and tutorial. Today I go in with my base. All the products I'm going to use, I'm going to list them all below. Please always make sure that you've prepped your skin before even doing your first application of any form of foundation. I always use a moisturiser and then go in with my primer. I always allow my primer to sit and settle before I apply any foundation or any base. I normally allow about 5 minutes just for my primer just to really sink into my skin. I always apply my primers with a brush, even my moisturisers. Something you're going to notice about me is that I really try to avoid using my fingers to do any of my makeup, although I know I do use them quite often. I always seem to go in when I'm doing these sort of looks with e.l.f. Halo Glow. Underneath any foundation, I just feel it gives me that really glowy, dewy look. And I also find that it really helps foundations to sit on the top, even buildable, small coverage style foundations. It just always seems to sit better for me on my personalised skin. Now I do always go over my eyelids with my foundation, but I normally will use a primer of some kind over my eyelids on top. I know a lot of people will say this is a waste, but for me it really works and it just is something that I've always done. Also, if you are someone like me with an oily T-zone, I also find it's best to go over my nose with a cleanser, then go over the top with an eyeshadow primer over my nose. I find that this stops products from separating on my nose. So if you have that same problem, honestly, this is the best trick I've found. Completely just works. So if like me you have that oily T-zone, trust me, it's one of my favourite beauty tips to tell people. Use that eyeshadow primer over that nose. I do keep on going back over things. I'll keep on going back and patting products back into my skin over and over again. For me, it just makes sure that my products stay in my skin really well. At times, if I'm going on a night out, I found that the best way for me to make sure my makeup does stay in place all night is to use layering up of foundations, concealers and using setting sprays in between. That for me personally is just amazing. It makes sure that your makeup doesn't move, doesn't smudge. It's brilliant. It'll keep it in place all night. Now we are going in with a really light blue to basically just cheer that eyelid up and just start building as a bit of a base. Now I do like a slower build-up of eyeshadows. I like to feel like I have that control and can just keep on building and just adding and adding. It is so much easier to gently build up than what it is to trying to remove and turn shadows and colours back down, especially if you're using metallics. I love this soft baby blue. It's just the perfect base colour. I absolutely love it. It goes on so well. It's just gliding. And it's just great for that buildable coverage that you need and that base colour you need. Again, normally I would go back in with a beauty blender after I've used my brushes. And you will see me do that later on in this video, that I do have a habit of blending out with brushes. Then I go back to my beauty blender and then I come back again. I do like to pat the products back into the skin, especially for these more extravagant style looks. We are going to keep on building. As I say, I do keep on building. Now, I do like to go above the eyebrow. When I'm doing this type of look, I just feel like it ties the whole look in instead of having a strip just across my eyes. Although I can do that. I do enjoy doing that as well, but it's a different type of look altogether, I find. And this is just something personally that I find almost contours the face using the extra colours of the palette. If you look at my pink Space Barbie look in my other reels and shorts, you will see that I do like to use the colours sometimes to help contour my face. But I will say, even when I use colours to contour my face, even down my nose and my cheekbones, I will always do a layer of contour first. I feel this helps guide you, especially for beginners, really, is giving you that guideline and that confidence to go in with them colours as a contour. You've always got to be bold and have a feeling of what direction you want to go in. So I would say if you're looking for more bold looks and more fun, just have fun with the makeup. See what works for you, see what colours you love, what works with your skin tones. But personally, I believe that makeup should always be fun. I have to enjoy it. Now, I really did enjoy this look, but as you can tell, it does take time for them colours to build up on the skin. Now, I am using a brush, but I do find that beauty blenders sometimes can actually help get that pigment in a little bit quicker. But again, I want to build this. I don't want this layer really dark. I just want it more base and more of a clean cut really for me, so that I have a guideline of where I'm going. Like I said, this is just a base, as if you was going in a neutral and doing a nude look. It's basically going to be the same rules apply. But once I am done with this very pale shade and building, which I know, again, it's taking some time, maybe I should have sped up this video a little bit, and here's me testing out blues to figure out which blue I would prefer. As you can see, I must have about 1,000,000 brushes. I use so many different brushes, even for the same shade. I just find that some brushes are more angled correctly and work better on the lid in different places for me. I then went in with this darker shade, this lovely metallic. I absolutely love this colour. It just blends. It's so smooth and creamy without being a cream. I don't know how this works, but it does. Again, just making sure that I have everything blended. I'm going in softly. I'm not trying to pack it on really fast and very quickly. Remember, with these sort of looks, you need that time to be able to build and to blend. This isn't going to be a quick job, quick makeup. This is something that you really do need to just take your time and figure out exactly where you want to go. As I say, I have hooded eyes, so applying this makeup might be slightly different to others, but this is how I do my makeup for my face. But I will say, please don't be put off by this sort of makeup if you have hooded eyes. There is so many different ways around it, so many different techniques, and I promise you, as the weeks go on, we are going to go over hooded eyes, dark circles, and basically anything else that anyone else would like me to go over and explain how I personally would do it for me, and personally sometimes for other people's skin and clients. Now, I am starting to pull the blue into the corner of my eyes. I'm using this as almost like a contour for my nose. But then I'm going to keep on going back over, keep on blending it in, getting that colour, that consistency and that smooth transfer over exactly how I want it to be. I also check from multiple angles the way that the pigment looks on my eyelids, because consistency is key when it comes to doing your eyes. And I do find that different lights can show the pigment differently, and sometimes it can show it more on one side to the other, so I always keep on checking back and forwards. Here comes my faithful beauty blender. I have made this ever so slightly damp using my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I just found that by using a setting spray on your beauty blender, not only helps keep the product in your skin and helps set it along the way, but again, it helps move it around to where I need it to be without it sliding around. As I will say over and over again, I do use a lot of beauty blenders, I do use a lot of brushes, and I like to mix back and forwards between the two. I will use a beauty blender for clean girl looks as well as brushes. I use them for my lips, my nose, my eyeshadows, everything. Again, I'm going to keep on building with different blues and keep on bringing in a different texture, pulling up further and further. I'll keep on dabbing and going back over and pushing product in and making sure that they're as even and as blended as possible. I tried to keep the cheek area pretty clear for this one because I knew that I wanted to add blush and just have a different tone compared to my pink look that I did. If people would like me to do a tutorial on my pink Barbie girl, Space Girl makeup look, please just let me know and I will get it put together, because it's one of my absolute ultimate favourites is my pink girl looks. I will just keep on going in and out, but here we are going underneath my waterline. I do like to pull it all in together so that I get a vision of the build-up, which means, of course, doing it under my eye as well. Try to remember to go from the inside of your eye out when using a brush. even for OTT makeup or clean girl makeup, the best thing you can do is come outwards. This is going to help the flow of your skin, and it just improves the way it looks. Especially for myself with having older skin. It's going to be a fun one to try and get you all to guess how old I am. I keep on not trying to get the glare of the sun in my eye, and it just keeps on hitting me in the wrong place. So sorry for all the fun looks I keep on giving. I just can't help myself when the sun hits me. Especially when you have a mirror that has a light around it as well. Doesn't help. But here we go. We're going to keep on building and changing the way and the shape of the way that the eye is going to look now. So this is where we're going to start going in with a mild cut crease. I'm just going in, just putting my base on, just to make sure that I can layer up and just getting exactly where I want that accentuated highlight to go. I do allow my skin to sit for about a minute or so. I'll do both eyes and prime them both instead of doing primer and then eyeshadow. I like the product to sit there for a minute or so before I start applying more eyeshadow. I just found that this personally again works for my skin, and I find that the product sits for longer by doing this. Now, if I feel I have to build up a bit on product and base layer, I will, but I do like to go from the middle of my eye and start dabbing. It's just pushing that product right into my skin, and with glitters, I found that this is definitely the best way for me to do this. Now, I do like to put the centres in on both eyes, normally at the same time, just so that I feel like they are matching. Again, this is a thing for blending for me, and I like to know exactly where my look is going to go. I also find that it makes my eyes appear bigger if I just do this darker corner and then go into my cut crease with more of a light metallic or a shimmer. As you can see, this blue is beautiful and it's very glittery, but I have found with this very particular blue, and I'm not quite sure why, but it just applies better to my skin when I dab it with my finger. I know it looks like I'm swiping it, but I'm really not. I am just pushing it into my skin. Again, just getting both eyes done and allowing that primer just to sit there for that extra minute or so. I just find that it's going to allow my eyeshadow to sit so much better. Again, we are always blending and keep on going back out and going up. Try not to just stop where your eyebrow stops. Take it outwards, especially for this sort of look. You want it to be accentuated. You want it to come right down. And I always seem to connect it up to where my blush and my contour would be, but without pulling this one too far down. Now I am going in again with a darker blue, but again, it's over a lighter base of blue, even for my under eye. And again, pulling to the outside. Yes, I do make a few little mistakes from time to time, and I will try and remove them. A great way I've found of removing mistakes on your skin and not using your fingers like me would be the best way for that, I find. Get a beauty blender, add some of your setting spray to it and just dab it over where you've gone wrong. I find this will lift the product, and then go over again with a dry beauty blender and just basically reset that skin. You no need to take it all off altogether. Just use it like a magic eraser. It's one of my favourite things to do, especially when you do that clean girl look and you accidentally get a little bit of eyeshadow or a little bit of product underneath your eye. I find this just clears it up and it's so neat and tidy. It's a great little hack. As I've said before, I will go in with brushes and I will keep on going in with beauty blenders. I just find that both work together beautifully, and for me, it just works. I'm going to keep on saying it. It works. Now we are going to keep on building on that skin, and I'm going to start going in with a silver metallic for that cut crease. I also find that it's a great way of highlighting underneath my eyebrows, as you're going to find out. Starting in the corner of my eyes, I found this just gives you that beautiful glow, and then you come up into your cut crease. It makes it a smooth blend, it keeps it going, the flow is great, and it brightens that inner corner eye, which for me personally, I do have darker under eyes and I do suffer with discoloration. So for me, brightening of the eyes, it's just a must. I even do this with clean girl makeup. I will add some sort of shimmer or highlight, extra contour to the insides of my eyes. Again, these are all coming in later videos, Please tell me what you want to see, more clean girl, more extreme, or just explaining different ways and different steps to doing makeup. So please do let me know what you would prefer to see. Now, when I have an itch, you'll notice that I will press product into my skin like I just did using the back of my hand. I do have some sensory issues around makeup that I will go into at some point, but I find this is the best way for me not to itch at my skin. Again, making sure that we're nice and even. I will check from side to side, make sure the pigment is showing the same in both places. Again, I love to put an extra light colour underneath my eyebrows. I just love the way it arches them, it shapes the eye, frames it, and it just feels like you're completing the look. Don't be lazy and forget under those brows. Even for a clean girl look, you want to get a little bit of a highlight underneath those eyebrows. Trust me, it will open your eyes out beautifully. Now again, we're going to keep on blending. We're going to keep on contouring the insides of the eyeshadow on the inside of my eyes. It's just something personally that I like to do. Again, I do go in a lot with my setting sprays to wet my brushes. Again, this is just about keeping product into my skin. It just works. Beauty blender or brush, a bit of setting spray helps get that product, keeps it right in there, and it helps set it at the same time. Now, I am going in with my eyebrows with a blue eyeshadow, hence needing my damp brush. I absolutely loved having blue eyebrows. I didn't think I would, but I really loved the way that they just came together with this whole look. I think it made it a lot more fun and whimsical. And I just enjoy having blue eyebrows, apparently, because I just loved the way this pulled the whole look together. And I do keep on going back over them. I like to make sure they're nice and even. Again, making sure that product is well in my skin, or, as you can see, my eyebrows. These are my own eyebrows as well. So basically, we're just going to fluff it all in. But if you do not have eyebrows, I have so many friends who partly remove theirs or they have them done in a very set way. I find that if you cannot use this type of eyeshadow to create the eyebrow stance that you would like, liquid eyeliners, especially NYX, they have a great selection. I'm sure Fenty do as well now. And I'm sure they have a blue that they've just released that I think would have looked great with this look. So I might have to take a trip and get some Fenty beautiful bright colours and just see what happens, and even see if they would work in eyebrows. I have used coloured liquid eyeliners before now on clients' eyebrows, and just it's worked. It's been brilliant. I also find using a mascara wand to apply to the eyebrows with using colours, especially if you're using like a liquid eyeshadow or eyeliner, or even a liquid lip, that can work as well brilliantly for eyebrows, and it doesn't smudge normally, which I would definitely recommend if that's what you're going for. Now we're going to go in with the liquid eyeliner. I know this look is a blue look, but I love eyeliners that stand out, especially when I'm doing this type of makeup. I love this liquid eyeliner by NYX. It's a beautiful lilac. It stands out and it just works so well. I absolutely love it. I do believe that the applicator could be a little bit better. I do know that they have it really thin for a reason, but I wish they would make this into a form of a pen, keeping with the pigment and the formula, because I love it. It's so smooth, it glides, but I would love it as a pen instead of this little tiny brush that you have. I haven't had this one that long, and I have found that the brush applicator has gone a little bit funny in places, and I have had to trim it with a pair of scissors just to make it smoother and pointed in the shape that I needed it to be back into. Otherwise, it's brilliant. The formula's brilliant. NYX, please put this into a type of pen. I would love it. I'm sure others would too. Now, I do normally go over with 2 coats, but that is just me personally. I like to go in with a couple of coats, make sure that everything is coated really well. I get it as close as to my eyelash line as possible. Again, having hooded eyes, I find that really thick eyeliner just doesn't work for me. It doesn't give the look that I want. So I try to keep it quite thin, but bold enough for you to be able to see it behind my lashes. and then I do pull it straight out into a wing. Especially for this type of look, I find it just works really well. Although when doing clean girl makeup, I actually don't take my eyeliner the full length of my eye. I only do it for these more over the top fun looks with lots of colour. But for clean girl looks, I normally start from the middle of my eye, dead centre, and I work my way out. Now again, hooded eyes, that means I'm going to give it a nice big chunky wing at the side. As you can see, this is why I needed 2 layers. It can be a bit patchy. It is beautiful, it does work, but you will have to build up on those layers, and it is best to let them dry in between. I have found that if you don't let it dry first before applying that next layer, you're just going to keep on removing it, and then you're going to have to keep on going over and over again. Best thing, let it sit, then apply your next layer. Now, I hate the way this feels on my eyelashes. That is a big thing for me again, sensory wise. Can't stand big clumps on my eyelashes, even for eyeliner, so I do normally have to go back in again. As you can see, had to just top up that little area again because some product to come off. Now, I am going to go underneath my wing with another brush, but this time I'm going to go in with some light blue just to kind of like highlight those wings. It just gives it that little pop and a little bit of extra highlight. Here's me very happy with myself with how that turned out. Now, I did start to contour my face. At this point, I felt like I just wanted to not let my face set completely before I started to contour. I do believe that makeup has no rules. Now, if you want to do your makeup in a different order to me, go for it. This is just what personally works for me. Now, I absolutely love this e.l.f. contouring brush. I've used all sorts of brushes from Morphe to drugstore brands, and this is just one of my favourite contour brushes. I'll just never get rid of it. Here I am going in with some blush on top of that contour. I do love to give myself a little pink nose and a little bit above my lip. I find that it just blends this look in together. I find that by having that little bit on your nose, it just pulls it all in. It gives me that feeling of symmetry. Now, I did start patting in some different highlighter at this point. This is blue. It is from my eyeshadow palette, but I do use it more as a highlighter. I find that it works best that way. Again, patting and blending with my finger. Now, I am going to go in with my lashes. I am not the biggest fan of strip lashes. Personally, myself, I love the way they look and I love doing them on clients also, but I am a fan of cluster lashes and also having permanent false lashes added. But I do find when I'm doing lots of different makeup looks, I prefer to use strip lashes just because it's an instant payoff without having to constantly have to change and adapt my eyelashes. And I find it a bit more gentle for my lashes. Now, at this point, I had gone in with a bit of silver to my lips. I wanted to see what would happen and where we would be going lip-wise with this look, because the one thing I wasn't sure with this look was where I was going with the lips. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit frustrated because I find that a lot of strip lashes are just not great on my eyes. Now, for a client, I can put your lashes on very quickly, very efficiently, but myself, for some reason, they just don't particularly like me that much. Unless they are 3/4 length lashes. They are my absolute favourite and I will be uploading a video tomorrow about them. Now, I am going to go in with pearls for freckles. I'm going to try and space them out the same sort of way I would imagine freckles would sit on my face. Now, I do use pearls that come from the Range, a part of their craft department. I know you probably could get these as a makeup thing, but personally, I found these work for me and I can buy them in big batches also. Now, I am going in with Jeffree Star's Liquid Lip. Absolutely love these lipsticks. I know a lot of people can say that they hate Jeffree Star, they love Jeffree Star, but the one thing that you cannot deny is that the makeup is just so on point. It just lasts, it just works. I've never had a palette or a lipstick from Jeffree Star that hasn't worked or gone beyond my expectations. personally. Now we are going over that silver shimmer. I found that it just gives this reflective glow underneath that I really loved the effect of. But then I am going to go in with a brush and we are going to blend in some silver eyeshadow. Again, this was what I used on the corner of my eyes, and all products will be listed below, I promise. And I will try and bundle them together as eyes, lips, contour, just to make it a bit easy to follow if you're only looking for one particular product or couple of products. I will also list what colour of the eyeshadows I used, lipsticks and highlights, etc. I will make sure that I write a list. Now we are getting close to the end. I do love going in with this silver around the lips. I don't know why, but I just love this combo. I feel like it feels so spacey and I just love it with the pearls. And this is the last in look. Have a good night. And let me know what you would like to see next.